there. Welcome. My name is Debbie, and the guy behind the camera is John, my husband of
Choked you up, didn't it?
43 years. To those who've been watching this channel for a while, I really appreciate all the support you've given me over the last, I think it's been like 9 months since I started this channel in earnest. And I love reading your comments. I have learned so much from all of you. And so today I thought I would share some of those comments and answers, because I know most people don't read those. And a lot of them, some of them really need to be highlighted. But the first comment I've got had to do with the swing away hitch. And several people posted comments about hitches that they have or that they would recommend, and I want to make sure that you guys know about those, because the Wilco off-road the price has gone up dramatically. It was about $500 when we purchased it, and now it's up in the $675 range, somewhere up there, so it's gone up a lot. So the first hitch that was recommended was the Kuat, K-U-A-T, kuatracks.com, and this is just a swing hitch that you attach your own bicycle rack to, and it's for a 2-inch hitch receiver, and it looks really interesting. Now the difference between these two recommended hitches and the one that we have, the Wilco, is that the Wilco also allows you to tow a vehicle or a trailer or something in that hitch, so it'll tow 5,000 pounds. And it also will hold more. It holds about 500 pounds as opposed to this Kuat, which will hold 250 pounds. So just have to read the specs and understand the differences. But if you only need a rack that is just to put your bike rack on, or a swing hitch to put your bike rack on, then that's a really good option. And then, or at least it seems to be. I haven't read the reviews. The other one that was mentioned was the so that one was Peggy Dulas, who mentioned the kuatracks.com swing hitch. The other one was Jeff Barton, who mentioned one called Rocky Mounts Swing Away. And that one is actually, it's called the Backstage Swing Away Platform. And that is a bike rack and a swing hitch. The claim on their website is that they are the only swing hitch that'll swing out 180 degrees, but that can't be true, because our Wilco swings more than 180 degrees. So I'll insert a clip of that here. Ready? Okay, it's going to pull the pin out. This is just to show you that this Wilco hitch does swing more than 180 degrees. It goes just past 180 degrees. And the tire still doesn't hit the side of the vehicle. That one carries 2 bikes up to 60 pounds, and it costs about $600. And it will also carry fat tire bikes. So that's a really good option, and that is for a 2-inch hitch receiver. It weighs, though, 63 pounds, and so if that's an issue, if you don't have someone to help you attach your hitch rack to, or your rack to your car, 63 pounds would be too much for me to lift. But if that's an issue, that's just something to be aware of. So thanks so much for both of those recommendations. So you had the first one at around $275 or $300, and the second one at $600, but the second one includes the bike rack. Crystal Stevens asked about the Reflectix versus our warm window, and I think the question was, where do we use which one, or which one's better? The warm window is definitely a better option than Reflectix. It cuts out 80% of the heat and the solar gain. But the Reflectix is what we use in the front in the cab because of its lightweight, and I can store it by attaching it to the headliner with Velcro. So that's what we use up front, although a lot of times if the temperature is fairly moderate, we will not put anything up front because we have the screen that goes between the cab and the living area. And so the warm window has definitely been the better option here in the back.
Okay, I've mentioned a bunch of times that this vehicle does come with shades for the front cab, and I thought I'd better show them to you. They come in this big package here, kind of heavy, I don't know what it weighs, 20 pounds or something. Anyway, so you can see how long it is and how big it is, and so this is where it would be stored, and it just takes up the size basically of the 2 chairs and our mat, and anyway, it just takes up too much space, so that's why we don't take them. But I do want to show you that they're, you know, very good quality and everything. No problems there. This is the one for the side window, nice and thick. So they're, I'm sure, a great product, but we prefer the Reflectix that we can store on the headliner.
And along those lines, I've had several questions about condensation. I looked at the condensation the last time we used the van out at Albuquerque. I did not really see much at all. It was very light. Whereas in the front of the cab, where the temperature was much colder, the condensation was much heavier. So I don't think condensation is going to be a real big issue in the vehicle. Maybe it's the dry temperatures we have, but whatever it is, we haven't seen that to be a problem. LF asked whether we considered other trailers than this camper van. And yes, we did. But our issue was a trailer, in order for us to be able to park it in our neighborhood, had to be able to be parked in the garage. So we were looking at real small, like the Tab, things like that. The Tab was probably just too small for John at 6'5". And but the one that I was really intrigued was the Alto Safari condo. It's made up in Canada, and we probably would have considered it more seriously if we could have actually looked at one. I've only once seen one, and that was in a campground up in the Sierras. So that would have been a possibility, although that would have meant we had to have a tow rig in order to tow it. And so hence we ended up with the RV. Book Bakery had watched one of my fridge videos and said that the optimal temperature of the fridge is 37. If we could only achieve that. But that then made me think that I'm actually considering installing this fan. It's called let me get the image here. It's a multi-purpose. It's the Titan multi-purpose rack fan. And one of the subscribers had done a video on attaching it to the vent, but he never showed a video of how to actually install it in the, attach the, to connect the electrical part to the van. I have sent an email to the dealer asking them if there's any issue with installing the fan in the vent, because the pilot light is right there. I've also sent an email to the manufacturer, and I'll see what they say and then get back to you with a video. If I'm able to install it, I will install it and show you that video. But what I've heard from others online is that the fan really helps to keep the refrigerator cool in the hot temperatures. And that would be wonderful if we could get the fridge to actually maintain something in the relatively safe zone in the summertime here, because we're always having to drive through the desert, anyway, there's no way to get out of Southern California without driving through the desert. So this is where the fan would go. I'm gonna push this thing up and break a fingernail or something. Pull this out, and the fans, this Titan fan would go right here. The pilot light, though, is right back there, and then I got to figure out how to wire it in here somehow, and I don't know how, and maybe I'll have to get the dealer. He's going to check to make sure it doesn't void any warranties that we have. Someone named Mauer Too Far wants a video that details how often we dump the tanks and refill water. We are going to be leaving on a 1-week trip in about a week, and we're going to Albuquerque, and then we're going out to the Lost Dutchman campground, where we're going to meet up with my oldest brother. And so that'll give us a good opportunity to show you how much water, sort of how much water we use. We don't have it doesn't tell you by the gallons, but I can show you the gauges and that sort of thing, and how often we fill up. So that will be an upcoming video. Jordan Miller asked if we would buy an RV at a trade show. Well, that's an interesting question, because we almost did when we couldn't find the Pleasureway at any dealership. We thought that that might be the only way we would be able to buy one, is to actually go to a show and buy it, or order it probably. But so I would answer that by saying it depends. If you don't necessarily get a better price at a show, and I think that's why a lot of people do that. I think we got at least as good a price as we would have gotten at a show, but moreover, we bought from the dealer that we were going to be taking the vehicle back to for service, and we've been happy with the people we bought from. We bought from Beach Cities RV in Westminster, and they've been very, even though I know technicians are so overbooked, they've been very responsive and helpful every time I've emailed or whatever. And if you buy from a dealer at a trade show who is not going to be servicing your van, then you're going to have issues getting in. We had a real problem when we were on our trip this last fall we went to Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, we went to Colorado, we went to Texas. Basically, we were gone for 2 months, and that whole 2-month period, we were really without a refrigerator because we had a gas leak. And we kept trying to get someone to help us out along the way. The dealers were all booked up, or they just were blowing us off. And it wasn't until we got to Colorado Springs that we found somebody who was really helpful. The dealer there was really helpful, even though they didn't ultimately fix the problem. It wasn't until we actually got back to our dealer that it got fixed. But it's very hard to get dealers to respond because the shortage of people. And so that if you can, you should buy from the dealer who is going to service your van. One more thing I want to say about the service, actually about Pleasureway. If you go to the Pleasureway site and search for dealers that are located near you, you can't actually see all of the dealers across North America, which is a problem if you're traveling. Their website does not just list all of the dealers. So you're forced then to enter a zip code, find the zip code of where you are and then enter it and try to find a dealer. It would be really helpful if Pleasureway would just locate all the dealers on a map, and then you'd be able to touch on it and go right to that location and see, and then call ahead. So maybe you're traveling to Texas and you're going to be somewhere where there's a dealer you could call, even if you're 2 weeks out, maybe they'd be able to squeeze you in. So that's a request for Pleasureway if Pleasureway ever sees this video. Margaret Wilson asked about the Pleasureway groups. She tried to, I guess, get on a forum where she wasn't allowed. You have to be an owner. And that is true. The Pleasureway owners group is only open to owners, and you have to enter your VIN number in order to get accepted. But there are other groups that might be helpful for those of you who are looking at vans and the potential of buying a Pleasureway or any other brand, because all the companies have forums. So I would recommend, there's a Facebook group called Pleasureway Owners and Wannabes. So that's an option. And then if you just Google Pleasureway forums, you will find Sprinter forums where people actually, it's really more geared toward Pleasureway owners. But that is, that's all I know. Oh, there's also a Pleasureway Owners Club. And if you go to the Pleasureway website, you can get hooked up with the person who coordinates that club. It's not Pleasureway employee, but they also coordinate rallies. And I highly recommend you go to a rally. We've not been to one. I would love to go to the one in Montana. I think it's probably full already, but we're going to be on our way to Alaska, so we won't be able to go. We did speak with a gentleman at a campground this last fall who has gone to them, and he says it's really great because Pleasureway sends technicians who can then answer questions and help you with any issues you have. And you can also learn about things that could be potentially an issue. Ann Holtz asked where we store the Instant Pot. And I will shoot a video here in a second and show you where we store the Instant Pot. But along the lines of the Instant Pot, this was one of those Homer Simpson dope kind of, boy am I stupid kind of moments when, let's see if I can find it here, it was Joy West who pointed out the obvious, which is when you're releasing the pressure from that pressure release valve, just put a towel over the top of it so you don't burn yourself. Boy, did I feel stupid about that one. So thank you, Joy, for keeping me from getting burned. So the Instant Pot is put on the very bottom of this cupboard. It's the only one that's really big enough to hold the Instant Pot. And I kept the styrofoam so that I could then stack other things on top of it. And on the front of the styrofoam, I put front so that I always know which way it goes into the cabinet. So that's where I store the Instant Pot. Okay, subscriber Skip Stellar, who we've emailed each other a bunch. This guy is such a wealth of information. He is, I think, an engineer of either formerly an engineer or whatever, but he is so knowledgeable. And I could do a complete video just on the tips and things that he has shared with me, and I just may do that going down the road. But I just wanted to point out on my winterizing video, which was really how not to winterize, he put a comment down below about how he winterizes, and so I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to put his comment in the description box below this, so that you can read it, because his way of doing it, I think, is the best way, the easiest way, and you don't have to be turning a bunch of knobs and doing all this other crazy stuff that we did. So thank you, Skip. He's been great. Denise Brenson asked, you guys are very careful viewers here, asked me what this red thing is on the faucet. Well, when we were at the Albuquerque, they gave us a little goodie bag. We were camped at the VIP parking lot, which is the one we recommend because of its access to the field. But this is actually a flashlight, and I wish I'd gotten more of them. I think we got, did we get 2 of these or something? Anyway, just I don't even remember where it turns on. Oh, there it is. Okay, thanks, John. So it's just a little flashlight. It's kind of a emergency. But the good thing, if you get these things at these shows, save the batteries, because the batteries are expensive, and you can use them in other devices that you may have. I've had several questions about my camera gear and editing, and I'm not going to include that here. I may actually kind of roll that into a broader topic of how you document your travels, and that'll be somewhere down the road after I can organize that sort of thing. It takes a bit of planning to get all my stuff organized. I've tested out a lot of stuff that is okay, but not perfect. I don't have the ideal situation for gear. I keep working toward that, but it takes a little bit of time and a lot of money to get there. So that'll be down the road. So in anticipation of some of the questions that may come up about next week's video on the suspension package and the 5 new tires that we had put on the rig, I want to point out, actually it was, there's a woman who lives near us. Her name's Pam. Hi, Pam. Both John and I have run into her here at the beach. And she wanted to know about the tires we got and whether they would fit on a van that has not had the spacer put on the wheel, because our tires are a little bit wider than the ones that came with the rig, and it requires the spacer bar. But the company, the BFG, makes a tire that's basically the same rugged kind of all-terrain tread, and it makes it in a narrower version, so it will fit on your van if you don't have that wheel spacer. Okay. And then finally, just kind of an update. I'm going to start a couple of new series. One is our trip to Alaska. So I'll do a series on our planning for that, and then on our trip I'll be posting video, obviously, of our travel to Alaska. And as a part of that, I would love to know if any of you guys are planning to go to Alaska this summer, because it would be interesting to meet up in Alaska. I hope somebody is. I know that one viewer who lives in eastern Oregon is, we're going to meet up with her on our trip up to Spokane. My brother and sister live in Spokane, so we tend to always drive up 395. First we can stop and see the grandkids, and then we can stop up in Spokane and see my brother and sister, a different brother than the one that we're seeing down in Arizona. So, and then the other series I'm going to start, I'm going to call it this other series, Tips, Hacks, and Gadgets. And as I kind of acquire a handful of ideas, maybe things I've learned about, tips or these hacks that I like to do to the vehicle, or little gadgets that people tell me about, I will include those in a video, and that will be kind of an occasional series where I will share those with you, because I think they have value for RVers in general. And this channel really is not supposed to be about just the pleasure way. I want it to be appealing to anybody who travels in any kind of an RV. The reason that I put the Pleasure Way name in the title as often as I do is because of the YouTube algorithm, and you kind of have to, if you want to build your channel, you kind of have to find a niche. And even though, you know, it would be nice to be able to compete with all of the camper van videos that are out there, it is really hard. You narrow your channel down, then that helps to attract at least some people, and then hopefully it will grow from there. So that is all I have for you this week. We are going to go now and get our exercise on the beach, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.